What's going on, guys? How you guys doing tonight?
Good.
I'm good. Good. Feeling a
Uh,
little flipping beat up, but I'm all right.
I bet you are, man. I mean, me
Yeah.
and Paul both watched your match, and
With Flip Gordon,
yeah,
and
that must have been something else.
yeah,
It was
what a finish!
unreal.
What a finish!
You like that, huh?
Yeah,
So anyway,
Something
yeah.
something that doesn't usually happen. I was just a little bit bigger and able to roll over, and by the luck of the draw, I got that 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
yeah, it reminded me of. I mean, not that you're in any way, shape, or form the weight class of like the guy I'm about to bring up, but you remember the WrestleMania with Yokozuna and Bret Hart. And
Oh, absolutely.
Yoko, he couldn't execute the move, and Bret Hart was there to kind of like capitalize, and
Use
that's
his
kind of what
momentum
happened,
against them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, hey, thanks for tuning in to Too Many Chair Shots. Dawn couldn't make it in today, so we're activating the Freebird rule, and Paul's going to be our tag team guy tonight. He's more of a crush from Demolition than he is a Freebird, because he's a pretty tall dude. He's like 6'4", dude. But anyway,
yeah,
God.
But anyway, we are honored to be with Roman Alexander tonight, the Tucson title champion from High Impact Wrestling. And first of all, man, hey, thank you so much for making the time. We really appreciate it.
yeah.
Just how are you feeling right now? Just with the win over Flip. You had that monumental match with Flip Gordon, and it was one for the history books. That's for sure. It was a really good match.
Yeah.
First off, thanks for having me, guys. I'm still feeling it. I'm still feeling it. I haven't been in the gym all week. I've been whining and crying to the wife, making sure she takes care of me. But yeah, I'm still kind of in awe. It was Flip Gordon, and
Yeah.
by the skin of my teeth, I was able to pull it off and defeated one of the best in the world. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was
I mean,
it was a crazy night. It was hands down the best night I've ever had in wrestling. 17 years in my career. That was I could retire happy.
yeah. No,
That's
I
really
mean, it was
saying
a, it
something,
was
isn't it? Go ahead,
yeah,
Paul.
it was a hell of a match. I mean, um, watching it, and it felt like it could go either way. It was just a really, pardon me, good match.
Yeah, it went back and forth almost the
Yeah,
entire time. But that's really saying something, isn't it? I mean, 17 years in the business, and that's one of your personal highlights, and that just
Oh,
happened.
definitely. I mean, any match I've ever had with Chris Evans or Johnny Suave is always a highlight. The match with my nephew and Chris Masters was a highlight, but definitely being able to go out there in front of my hometown, in front of my friends, my family, and Tucson came out to support it and just go one-on-one with Flip Gordon, who is absolutely one of the best in the world right now.
Absolutely.
Undeniably the best free agent on the market, and defeat him was wild. It was wild.
So, tell me a little bit about how you got in the zone for that fight, because he's a different style wrestler than you. You're very much a power wrestler. I mean, you had some big hits, big slams, nice chops. Um, uh, what's your routine like to get in the zone for that type of match where you're going against somebody that's, um,
A little faster,
a
a
little
little
faster, but
younger.
smaller. Yeah,
I mean, I went into it like I would any other match. I mean, obviously there was a little more preparation for this one because he is Flip Gordon, but I knew I had to be stronger. In some instances, I had to be a little faster. I kind of I do a lot of tape studying, so I knew some of the things he was going to do, and I just had to make sure that I had a counter for each and everything he was going to do, which a lot of it I didn't have counters for, but some of it I did. So I was able to capitalize on the things that I did have counters for, and in the end, like I said, I was able to pull it off by the skin of my teeth.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. I mean, it was a great finish. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat watching it. It was pretty good. I was, I what was it?
I think there was
Three
five.
back counts, four
I think there was.
back counts.
I think 4 or 5 altogether.
Yeah,
Um,
I was just like, oh my gosh, this is awesome.
I was surprised he was able to get up after that F5 and then the cannonball. You know, those are usually set in stone after I hit those, and he's undeniable. He's unreal. He's Flip Gordon, so he was able to get up, and he was able to get me in the small package, and then it was back and forth, and being about 100 pounds heavier than him, my momentum carried myself on top of him, and I was able to hold him down for the 1, 2, 3.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, I was. I mean, we watched it on YouTube, and it was just a really great match. You gotta be really proud of yourself for that.
Oh, definitely, definitely. But he definitely brought it, and man, he kicked my ass.
Yeah.
He had a little more offense than I would have liked to give up, but I mean, with the senton off the stage, and then he went for the Rana off the bar, and I was able to catch him. Tried to power bomb him over the top rope, and he was able to grab it, hit me with that knee, and then the acai moonsault to the top, and then the bastard poured beer in my eyes, and thank God I was able to move out of the way of that 450 splash, because that could have been it right there.
Yeah.
The way that the bar was incorporated into the match was, I gotta say, awesome. And extremely entertaining and extremely innovative. I don't know if I've ever seen a match quite like this in this venue.
Yeah.
The crowd seemed pretty hot.
The crowd was awesome. They were very much behind me, but they were also really behind Flip as well, because this is the first time he's ever been here and performed. He's been out here 2 or 3 times. We actually ended up opening a wrestling school together for Cactus League Wrestling, and he came down, opened the school with me. Then we brought him back, and he actually came out with Carmelo. He's really good friends with Carmelo Hayes. So before Hayes was signed, we had him down here in a match, and Flip wasn't able to perform because he was under contract with Ring of Honor, but he was here. So this is like the 3rd or 4th time we've had him down here, but the first that he's actually been able to perform.
That's fantastic. But before we get into a little bit more about you, because I have a bunch of questions just about how you got into the business, your training regimen, and things of that nature. I do want to highlight some of the spots in this match, because this was a fantastic match, and there were times where I was just kind of in awe on some of the moves that you guys were doing. First of all, your spine buster. I haven't seen anyone perform that as well since like vintage Arn Anderson. Like, do you take pride in that? Is that one of your? Would you consider that one of your important moves that you use?
Very much, very much so. I've actually heard that from some veterans that tell me I throw one hell of a spine buster. And Arn Anderson is actually one of my favorite wrestlers. I feel like he's undeniably one of the greatest uncrowned champions. The hands down the best to never be the world champion. Yep. He's held countless, undercard titles, tag titles, US, TV, but he's never been the world champion because he was always behind Nature Boy, and he was always the enforcer. Yep. But I've always loved Arn. Arn he's the reason I throw the spine buster. He threw it to the opposite side that I do, but I very much throw my spine buster like him.
Is that because he was left-handed? Does he do it differently?
Yes.
Okay, okay. That's fine. Yeah. Okay. All right. The other move that you did, I'm actually gonna play one here for a minute. We won't get into any trouble if we play.
No, I don't think so.
Certain spots of the match. Well, okay. There's only one of the other ones where my jaw was left hanging was I don't know what you call it, but I called it the Sonic Hedgehog roll dive into the corner.
Cannonball.
The cannonball. Okay. All right. So that's the crowd chants for the cannonball.
Mm-hmm. It's something I use often now, especially being such a big guy. You know, I'm 275 pounds.
Right.
So when I hit that, everybody's like, "Oh my God, you're so big! You should not be doing those things." And
I mean, you wouldn't even think it would be possible, to be honest with you, without killing the other guy. You know.
Yeah.
But no, that was a move that that was an attention grabber. That's for sure. All right. So there's one though I do want to spotlight just for a moment, if you guys are cool with that.
Oh, no problem.
Give me 1 second here.
I wish I had my footage up, because my footage, if you see the guy with the hurt hand who's ringside and with glasses filming it, that's my vantage point of
Now, for whatever reason, this really stuck with me. I think I even said this to you behind the scenes. This kind of how you pull him out of the corner.
my backbreaker.
Dude, the corner pull out into the backbreaker spot. I marked out for this. Hold on, let's play it.
Oh, yeah, I was dying here. I was already dying. Got to hit the big back elbow and then the sweep, and then, sorry, buddy, your back's great, but I'm gonna break it. So we go 1 and 2. Good night.
That's sick, dude. I've never
awesome.
seen, you know, I've watched wrestling for quite a long time, and I've never seen that move done like that. I've never seen that before.
I honestly think I'm one of the only people that does that. I don't even remember where I came up with it or how I started using it, but it was something I started using, years and years ago. And then I stopped using it and just recently brought it back in like the last year and a half.
Yeah, I mean that really got a rise out of the crowd too. So that's a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
You got to keep using that one.
I initially wanted to hit it, but we had so much momentum going into it. I wanted to hit it, but bring them back up and then go into a sidewalk slam. But we had so much momentum that it hit, and there was no way we were going into the sidewalk after that.
I found this match interesting for a variety of reasons. Wrestling feuds aren't just created with wrestlers that are in your own federation anymore. It's not just, angles or altercations that happen in the ring. This actually happened via social media, if I am correct, that where the beef with you and Flip started. Can you walk us through that a little bit? How that got started and how this match became?
We're actually pretty good friends. We became good buddies, and we've just never been able to make it happen. So I felt like I'm kind of doing something with the Tucson title where I'm kind of stealing a little bit from John Cena with his U.S. Open. So the Tucson City Championship Open is always open, and I felt like this time he actually has a little bit of availability. So I thought, if I challenged him and he had enough notice to be here, he could make it. And by the luck of the draw, he saw it and he was like, "All right, buddy, if you want it, I'm coming." He's never one to take a challenge lightly, and he accepted the challenge. We were able to get his flight booked and get him down here, and we made magic.
Yeah, that's great. That was fantastic. One of the best wrestling, like indie wrestling shows I've seen in a really long time.
I appreciate that.
And the crowd was super into it, so that had to get you pumped.
Oh man, there's nothing like performing in your hometown on a huge stage like that, and then they come out, and it's incredible. It was incredible. Like I said, it was hands down the best night of my career.
Right.
That's great.
So, I don't know. Where should we start here? I kind of want to delve into just like your origins a little bit. What got you started in professional wrestling? You're a native of Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah, born and raised, unfortunately.
So, I mean, what was it? What's local wrestling like in Arizona?
It's wild. It's different. It's wild. There's a lot of lucha. There's about 3 or 4 promotions in Tucson. A lot in Phoenix. When I first started, obviously, like any pro wrestler, for the most part, always wanted to be a wrestler. When I first started, I had actually contacted Roland Alexander at All Pro Wrestling and was going to make the move out to Bakersfield, but then I found High Impact Wrestling in town for a lot less money and went that route, which it's worked out for me, but it probably would have been much better if I would have went to APW. But I took the backyard route. I was never actually, I never wrestled in a backyard match or anything, but the High Impact Wrestling back in the day was very deathmatchy, very, very indie. Nobody really wore gear or anything. So there was a lot of heat, with High Impact Wrestling back in the day. But right now they're one of the longest reigning companies in Arizona.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So just growing up, I would assume that you were a wrestling fan, right? You watched
always.
Right.
Always. I was a very big WCW guy because when I started watching it, WCW had a little more TV time than WWE. So I was big on Saturday nights and the pay-per-views, and my dad would talk a bunch of shit about watching it, but he would let me watch the pay-per-views and shit, and he always liked Dusty Rhodes.
Oh, sure. Yeah, Dusty was he was a living legend, that guy.
Yeah.
I was big on Sting and Pillman and Austin, obviously the Natural Dustin Rhodes. I was big on Farouk and Steamboat, Ravishing Rick Rude, Bunkhouse Bunk and Terry Funk.
I like this because we're all of the same era. Like you're speaking my language here. Those guys are the guys that I watched growing up, and it was easy to hate some of those guys. Like Bunkhouse Bunk and guys like that. But I did want to ask, like if you had to pick a wrestler or wrestlers, I know this is kind of a tough question, but maybe somebody you modeled your style after. Who would you does that somebody immediately come to mind?
Arn.
Yep.
Brock. Arn, Brock. I've ripped off John Cena a little bit. For a while in the early, I was always Kevin Nash is my favorite wrestler. So I used to use a lot of Kevin Nash stuff. I used to do the back elbow and the gut thrust. I used to use a big boot, a jackknife. I'm 5'8", so a jackknife and stuff like that is not a quintessential move for somebody my size.
Right.
Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect is another one of my favorites. But I have more of like a brawling powerhouse style. I love the British Bulldog. Davey Boy Smith was one of my favorites. So I kind of just pick and pull from a lot of everybody, but definitely Arn. I like to, I don't do it as much anymore, but I used to pick a body part and work a body part and break people down. And now it's just kind of brawl and hurt people.
Yeah. Hey. It's the crowd is always into it. The 3 that I had written down for you, just in case you were curious, were Taz.
Oh, absolutely.
I had Taz.
Love Taz.
I had Arn Anderson, and I also had a little bit of Samoa Joe in there. Because it just seemed to me like the matches that I saw, you really worked your low center of gravity and how these guys just couldn't move you. Like you were just like you're just immovable. Like your shoulder block basically, takes them out. And I just thought that was. I don't know. I just thought those were pretty good comparisons. And
no, I love it. I love it. Thank you.
You also have a high impact style, like with your match, with your moves, with your moves.
You should. I don't know if any of the matches I sent you if I hit the frog splash, but I can also fly off the top rope. Yeah. I haven't wrestled in anywhere that really has the ceiling room, but yeah, I can hit a pretty mean frog splash from the top.
Dude, I'd love to see that. That would be awesome. Who trained you?
I was trained here in Tucson by a man named Chaos and Ricky Flash. Chaos isn't around anymore. I actually have a death match with him. It was a brutal one. But it was just kind of I don't do a lot of that stuff. And the reason I was able to succeed so much coming from HIW is I didn't do a whole lot of the deathmatch stuff. You know, I was one of the few guys that had gear and traveled and didn't do all the deathmatch stuff. And when I did, it made sense. So when I wrestled Chaos, it was kind of the full circle. You know, he was my tag team partner. He turned on me, and then it just came full circle to where the student met the teacher in his match. Unfortunately, he was the better man, but
that's such a legendary story, though, isn't it? The teacher that has to.
But then I was also lucky enough that I met the Prophet, who is a huge legend in Arizona, especially under Lucha Libre. So I learned a lot of Lucha Libre from the Prophet. Then I met Chris Evans, who is huge out here in Arizona, and he was big in California. And he was the one that kind of pulled me aside and was like, "Hey, bro, you're not as good as you think you are, but I can help you." Okay. And he was able to fix what was broken and kind of show me a little bit of that West Coast style, you know, the California style and being spotty and stuff.
Right. Speaking of Chris Masters, your match with your nephew Gabriel.
Oh yeah.
That was a hell of a match.
Thank you.
I thought that match was interesting for a variety of reasons. But one was the dynamic that you and Gabriel have. He was kind of giving you a lip at certain parts during the match. I just wanted to ask you about that. Is that you know, how's that go over with you? And you know, does that make it difficult at Thanksgiving dinner?
Oh, not at all. You know, I'm very proud of Gabriel. He's come a long way. He's originally from Colorado, so when he moved down here, I believe his second match in Arizona was against me. There was a tournament here in High Impact Wrestling, and his second match was against me. And the match that I sent you was actually only our second match against each other. So for a majority of his time in Arizona, we've been tag team partners.
Okay.
So I'm so proud of how far he's come because he can actually be one of the best. You know, but he's a single father with 2 children, so it's actually hard for him to actually be able to perform on a regular basis. But when he does, he's one of the best. It was actually funny because we had a big show here, and Darby Allin and a bunch of people. And have you ever heard of Eli Everfly out of California?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, he's trained at Santino Brothers. Man, this guy is awesome. He's one of the best. Look him up. And he was in the ring rolling around, and he's like, "I need somebody to roll with." And I was like, "Hey, Gabe, get in there and just go on the fly with the fly." And man, he got in there and went on the fly, and it was awesome. And it was just kind of one of those things to where with Gabriel, I always push him because he doesn't think he can be as good as he is unless I'm like, "Dude, get in there and go with this guy. You can do this." Like I have to constantly remind him how good he is. And that's his only flaw is he hates to think he's that good when he's so good he just doesn't even know it. You know?
I mean, it was a really interesting dynamic between you guys. You could definitely tell that you were blood, and you know, we all have somebody in our family that we kind of you know, get into it with every now and again, and I think that really brought that out. You know, so that was really interesting. Before we get off the flip stuff, I wanted to ask, who did your rap intro? Because I was.
Oh, he's a. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, that was one of the better. You know, every now and again they trot out a rapper or a live or a live music act as the intro music to a wrestler, and I don't know. To me, it seldom works. This guy nailed it, and I was just wondering if he was a friend of yours or. If he was also a wrestler.
No, he's a local artist here out of Tucson, and he started. I don't know how he started coming around High Impact Wrestling, but he started coming around, and I was looking for a new theme song, and he pulled me aside and was like, "Hey, man, you know, I'd like to make a song for you," and I gave him some key points to hit, and he came up with the song called "Face the Roman," and man, I love the song. And just
It's
he
legit.
actually performs at the venue locally a lot. So I was just like, hey man, I'm wrestling Flip Gordon. How would you like to perform it live? And he was like, I'd love to.
Yep.
And yeah, I love the song because he talks about he kind of highlights my career a little bit, and it's really catchy. I love the song.
It's
Yeah.
really
Actually love
catchy,
it.
and he flowed real well. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
some like generic rap there. It
No,
actually
I just love the
sounded
chorus
like
because it's
rap.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like space,
Yeah, it was
me,
great. Great.
Roman, Alexander. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it had some moxie to it. It really did. All right. So, all right. Let's see if one final question. I've seen a bunch of matches with you, but I couldn't tell. I didn't have an answer just from watching your matches. So I'm going to ask you this: what is your finisher? And if you have one, some wrestlers don't, most do. And and how and why did you choose it to be your finisher?
I actually have three different finishers because I feel like you need to have a finish for every kind of person. So for the longest time, when I first started, I was using like a pump handle power slam, kind of like Wrath or Atom Bomb. So
Mhm.
you'd pick them up into the pump handle, get them here, and it was a power slam. Then when Brock Lesnar went away, I was using the F5, and then Brock came back. So I still use the F5. It's still in my day-to-day repertoire. And then I have the frog splash for the bigger guys that I can't get up for that move. But the biggest F5 I ever hit was on a guy 450 pounds.
Holy cow!
Yeah, yeah. I don't have video of it, but I have a picture on my Facebook, and I just have this monster up, and I was able to hit it. He was going up for like an elbow drop, and I caught him while he was on the middle turnbuckle and just kind of muscled him over and was able to hit it. And then I used the bitter end for the most part now, which is Pete Dunne or Butch's finish, pump handle flatliner.
Okay. That's interesting. We had Stud Bronson on our show, our first show a couple weeks ago. Are you familiar with him? You friends with him?
Absolutely, because he actually I was a small part in his training. I wasn't there a whole lot. Just he came into the Cactus League Wrestling Academy towards the end of it, and unfortunately, I was going through some personal demons, and I wasn't able to be there as much as I would have liked to be. So the training got passed on to a former colleague of mine who did more of the training for Stud. But I was there in the initial Stud and Manimal. Manimal was actually one of my students in the opening of the school. But yeah, I know Stud. I actually defeated him about a month or two ago.
We won't bring that up when we talk to him. No.
No.
No, but I asked Stud a similar question, and his finisher is the discus lariat. And his reasoning was he can hit it on anybody, all shapes and sizes.
Mhm.
So it's interesting to me that rather than taking that approach, it kind of seems like you have finishers. You have three finishers, and you use them depending on who your opponent is, their size, and just what you can execute during that match, which I think
Absolutely, because for the most part, I'm usually the bigger guy. Like just recently, the show before Flip, I hit the bitter end on a guy who was almost just as big as me, and he was definitely the biggest bitter end I've ever hit, and I was surprised I hit it. But man, I just was able to muscle him up and flip them and hit it. But usually bigger guys, I go for the F5 or the frog splash, or there's the spine buster. I try to have a wide variety of combinations and a wide variety of an arsenal that can take out anybody in any different aspect of the match. I finished guys off with a back elbow. I've hit a back elbow so hard they fed out in a clothesline from hell. I've finished them off with the cannonball, the frog splash, my spine buster, my F5, the bitter end. I've submitted guys. So I try to just keep a vast variety and keep my arsenal wide to just be able to execute a finish in whatever situation I'm given.
Nice. Very good.
Nice.
Growing up, we're going to get a little bit into WWF here. You had mentioned that you were a big WCW guy, but before we even get into that, is there anything else you'd like to expound upon? Just your experience in high impact wrestling, or any other milestones that you feel
I know
were
this is
important?
this is home for me. My second home is a company called Lucha Libre 4, where I've wrestled for that family for shit since 2013. Our show is coming back September 24th. The last time I wrestled for them was Cinco de Mayo last year, and I ended up getting to wrestle Drago from Lucha Underground. He was the little blue dragon guy,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and that company has given me a lot of monumental matches to where I've wrestled some of the legends of Arizona with between the Hawaiian Lion, Lawrence Tyler, Gabriel Gallo, and just legends that I grew up watching when I was breaking into the business. So Lucha Libre 4 actually gave me a platform before a lot of people, and I actually really came into my own and learned at Lucha Libre 4.
Nice. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so
Do you watch current WWF product?
I watch all the pay-per-views. I have the app on my phone. Obviously, I have Peacock, but I still have the actual WWE app. So I read the news. So I at least read about everything every week. I just don't get to watch it as much. I watch highlights when I can, but
right,
it's a little hard.
Yeah, no, it's definitely hard, and things aren't like they used to be, like in the heyday of the Monday Night Wars and the Attitude Era and things of that sort.
It's getting good. It's getting good again, though.
Well, it is. It's some of the stuff is more of a slow burn, but it's getting back to some of the stuff that originally made me a fan to begin with. So that's
Same.
good. But we did want to talk about SummerSlam. Just a general. We're a few weeks away from when the World Wrestling Federation, or I'm sorry, WWE Entertainment, generally has their SummerSlam pay-per-view. But was this, as a kid, as a fan, was this a pay-per-view that you had on your calendar, or something that you look forward to?
Oh, always, because you got to figure back in the early '90s, WWE only had 5 pay-per-views. There was Mania,
The Big
the
Five.
Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, and
Survivor Series.
Survivor Series. So then with WCW, you had Fall Brawl, you had Great American Bash, you had Starrcade, you had
Super Brawl.
They had so many more, but those, Slamboree, those 5 or 6 that WWF had, they made them count.
Yeah, they really did. And you could mark them on your calendar. It was.
Oh yeah.
It's. What was your favorite pay-per-view series? Was it like Royal Rumble? Was it?
I loved Royal Rumble and I loved Starrcade.
Yeah.
See, it's conflicting. If you, what is the WrestleMania of WCW? Is it Super Brawl or
Starrcade?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it was Starrcade.
I always saw SummerSlam as kind of WrestleMania light. I saw SummerSlam as the second most important pay-per-view on the calendar. Would you guys agree or?
Well, aside from the Royal Rumble, because the Royal Rumble crowned your next number 1 contender,
right.
WrestleMania. So,
but as far as a card that was kind of like self-functioning, just with titles on the line, I always saw it as. I mean, I saw it as WrestleMania in the summer. To be honest with you, it really was.
Oh, absolutely. Because you figure you had SummerSlam '91 when Hogan and Warrior teamed up.
Yep,
that was a big one. And then in '92 you had Bret and Bulldog in Wembley.
Well, we're going to go down an informal SummerSlam top 10 here. So I'm going to be real interested in your opinion on the ranking, and just like maybe on the card itself. So, all right. So, 1 second. The first. So going down on a scale of 10, I have number 10. I had on my on my list was was 20 was the SummerSlam from 2013. Do you guys remember this?
Yeah.
It was all right. So I don't know if you can see that. It's a little small, but I'll read it off to you. It's 2013. It was from the
Okay.
Staples Center in Los Angeles, and you had Bray Wyatt versus King, Ring of Fire match. Um,
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar beat the shit out of CM Punk. Uh,
Which is
Cena
probably
and
the
Daniel
highlight
Bryan.
of the entire evening.
well, but yeah, well, the most notable thing to happen on this pay per view, Daniel Bryan defeated John Cena for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. However, if you remember, Triple H was the referee, and Randy Orton had won the Money in the Bank, so he actually cashed it in during this match.
Yeah,
Randy
Triple
Orton,
H. Triple H hit the pedigree on him, and
yeah. So I think that is a, you know, I'm more of a retro guy. I got to be honest with you when it comes to these pay per views. But as far as one of the more current ones, and more current 10 years ago,
Yeah.
I think I think that's a solid card.
No,
You also
it
had
is.
definitely a solid card. And then you had what, Dean Ambrose and RVD.
RVD, like any
Yeah.
any WrestleMania, I'm sorry, any pay per view that has RVD on it, like
Oh,
immediately
absolutely.
jumps up in quality. So I don't know. So that's the first one.
Okay, that might be number 10.
That was my number 10. Now I will give an honorable mention to a SummerSlam that is really bad in my opinion, but like I love it anyway, and that's the Undertaker versus Undertaker.
Oh,
Yes.
94! I love 94. I love WrestleMania 94. Come on, you had Leslie Nielsen doing the
Trying to find
investigating.
the Undertaker. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
And
think that match was completely based upon Mortal Kombat was really popular at the time, and you know how you'd have like Liu Kang versus Liu Kang.
yeah.
But Liu
Mhm.
Kang would have like a slightly different color. That Undertaker's versus Undertaker match was similar. You had one with the gray gloves, you had one with the purple gloves, you had one that was like 4 inches taller than the other.
Yeah.
And the bogus Undertaker was Brian Lee, right?
Brian Lee, yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you had him come out with Money Incorporated, and he had the old Undertaker theme song, and then
And
it was with Ted.
the added touch coming out with that Ted DiBiase,
Yeah.
who introduced him.
But you also had Bret Hart and Owen in the steel cage on that one.
That was an awesome, awesome match. That
No,
might
that's
be
coming up. That was actually a different. I think that was. Hold on, I have it in my notes. That was.
I believe that was the co-main event.
No,
for that
you're
one.
right. It was.
Yeah.
You're right. It was.
because like Undertaker versus Undertaker was
No, you're-
lame, but that steel cage match with
That should have been
Bret
the
and
main event.
Owen was awesome.
And that should have been the main event, honestly, because that storyline was incredible. Yeah. And that was the best match that they had together.
Yeah.
All right. So going with number 2. Sorry, one second. All right. So the original. This is SummerSlam '88.
Oh wow!
Right? So this is the Mega Powers in the height of the Mega Power era, going up against the Mega Bucks, which was Ted DiBiase and Andre the Giant. But also on this card, you had the Ultimate Warrior squashing
And
the Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah.
that's when he won the Intercontinental title.
Yep. You also had a really good Demolition versus Hart Foundation match for the tag team belts.
Uh-huh.
See if there's any other notable. You had Junkyard Dog versus Ravishing Rick Rude.
That was actually a pretty good one.
Yeah. But this was Hulkamania, and
Macho.
That was actually the match that started the heat, right?
well, yeah, that's what started. I don't know. I don't know if it was this one or if that was on a Saturday night or a Saturday night main event.
When they bumped Miss Elizabeth.
Oh, that
Yeah.
might have. You're right. That they might have started here. She might have got bumped during the match, and that's what started the drama.
Because Macho Man is world champion then, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was
So yeah,
So I don't know, man. I just as much as I love the Attitude Era, I do have a soft spot for that golden age of
oh
wrestling.
yeah, the
Yeah.
gold. I still have WrestleMania 3 on VHS.
Yeah.
So
WrestleMania 3 was
Hogan
Rock.
and Andre,
Yeah,
Good and Andre. Yep.
Steamboat and Macho.
Yeah. I mean,
one of the greatest intercontinental matches, arguably of all time.
If not the best.
Right.
yeah.
All right. Let me share this. So this is. I want to say this is 2001. Let me make sure I'm correct. Yeah. So this is 2001. This was SummerSlam. It was based out of San Jose, California. This was essentially the first WWF versus Alliance pay per view. You guys remember that storyline?
Yeah.
Yep, I actually think I have this on DVD.
Yeah, I mean it's great. It's a great. It was a really good SummerSlam. You had Rob Van Dam versus Jeff Hardy in
A
a
ladder
ladder
match, right?
for the
Yep.
Hardcore Championship. You had DDP and Chris Canyon versus the Brothers of Destruction, and you know people like to put Undertaker and Kane as a regular tag team. They really weren't. That was a novelty.
Yeah.
Whenever they were on a card, it was an attraction.
Yeah.
Oh
Just
yeah.
to see those guys together, like it was just awesome. What else we got? We had Kurt Angle versus Stone Cold for the title, and then we also had Rock beating
And
Booker
Booker T.
for the WCW title.
And then what was it? Tajiri and X Pac.
Yeah, had an unbelievable match for a mid card match. Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, no, that was a good one. That was a good one.
But yeah, I just thought it was cool at the time. Just that was the first time an active WWF wrestler held the WCW title, and there was a time like nobody would have ever saw that coming.
Yeah.
Like that was just so unheard of.
What about when Taz wrestled Mike Awesome, and it was the first time a WWF contracted wrestler wrestled a WCW contracted wrestle for an ECW title on an ECW event?
How crazy is that? That's so nuts that even occurred. Yeah. Mike Awesome left to be like that 70s guy or something on WCW. Wasn't that his gimmick?
It was terrible.
Yeah. They just
Mike Awesome was so good.
so good. He could come off the top rope like unlike any big guy I've ever seen.
And that awesome bomb, the awesome bomb over the top rope through the table. Like his matches with Masato Tanaka, some of those are the wild. Even at the One Night Stand pay per view, when they brought Mike Awesome back and him and Masato Tanaka had that match, that stole the show. I thought that was the best match of the night.
Absolutely.
Even though the Dudleys and Sandman and Tommy Dreamer was awesome, but
Sandman and Tommy Dreamer were always a good combination together. They just had that chemistry. It was like a night off for those guys. They didn't even have to think,
Is that last year's SummerSlam?
Yeah, this was last year. Yeah, this was last year.
That was great. That one was good. That was Brock Lesnar with the tractor, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the first things I had in my notes. Like before you even get into the matches, Brock Lesnar lifting up the ring with a tractor, like that's a moment that's going to be replayed over and over and over again in these WWE highlight packages.
Oh, forever.
Shows and to advertise other shows. Like that was a moment, it really was. The Reigns versus Lesnar match was pretty good. I think Rousey actually lost in this match. Let me see here.
Was
Yeah,
Ronda even on the card?
yeah. Liv Morgan beat Ronda Rousey.
Yep.
The Mysterios fought Judgment Day, and then it was the start of the celebrity main event. Well, not the start, but one of the highlights was Logan Paul versus The Miz, which
Was a really good match.
it was a really good match. I mean, it was better than it had any right being.
Yeah.
All right, so do you?
So,
But
how are you feeling about Brock Lesnar's current run? I love it. I personally love it because for the first time, you can see Brock is having fun,
yeah,
and he's putting guys over and enjoying it.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I like it. It's more nuanced. It's not just him being the unstoppable monster.
Yeah.
Because they don't need to build him up anymore. Like you can't possibly build that guy up any more than he already is.
Yeah.
And he's at that age and at that tenure where it's kind of like his turn to start giving back.
Yeah, and you can see he's having fun, which is awesome.
Yeah. That is a good sign because
Yeah.
from all accounts, Brock can be a moody guy, and
Yeah.
you'd want to keep that guy happy, I would imagine.
Right.
So let me ask you guys a question. When it comes to the celebrities, you behind Logan Paul or Matt McAfee or Pat McAfee?
You know what? McAfee had a really good match himself.
Yeah.
With Adam Cole?
Yeah, when he was jumping on top. No, he was? That was who did he fight?
He wrestled. He had a really good match with Adam Cole in NXT.
Was it Adam
Yeah.
Cole? Okay, all right. And then in WrestleMania, it was
The Miz,
Austin Theory.
Austin Theory.
Yeah, and I have never seen somebody leap from the apron to the top rope before. I'm sure it's happened.
Yeah,
It's the first time I've ever seen it. But no, that was an absolute great match. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Logan Paul versus the Miz. Number one, I'm a big fan of the Miz. He's one of my favorite like contemporary wrestlers. I like his mic game. I like his athleticism. He kind of reminds me of somebody who would have done well in like Attitude Era or provided that he was the same age,
Right.
But,
Absolutely.
but like I love a good shit talker. I mean, I just do. And Logan Paul is also a pretty good shit talker. So,
Absolutely.
Him and Ricochet is definitely going to be a banger.
Yeah, for sure. So 91 guys in Madison Square Garden. I got this is the second Madison Square Garden card on the list, by the way, because the first one was the first SummerSlam ever.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one though.
Yeah. This one was the match made in heaven and the match made in hell. You remember
the
that?
wedding? Yep, the wedding.
Now,
That's what Hogan and the Warrior teamed up against the Ric Flair and
it was Colonel Mustafa, who was the Iron Sheik.
Yeah.
General Adnan and Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah.
And then like it ended with the wedding of the Macho Man and Randy Savage, and like
Jake the Snake and the Snake coming out of the box and Undertaker.
Yeah.
I was actually rewatching it, and like people stayed in the stands. They didn't leave. They didn't leave early to beat traffic, which I think today, I don't know, if you have two wrestlers marrying as the finale of your pay-per-view, you're going to see an empty stadium or a halfway empty.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They were captivated, and that just really shows the charisma that Macho Man. Everybody wanted to see the Macho Man and Elizabeth. That was really but also that what happened here was and like even if you didn't have that wedding, you had Bret Hart beating Mr. Perfect for his very first Intercontinental title reign.
That was awesome. Was that the one that Roddy Piper was the special guest referee?
No, that was just a straight up match between those two guys.
That was one of the most vicious sharpshooters ever, too.
Yeah.
At least I don't think so. Let me see. Now I'm questioning myself.
Because I know there was a match that they had, and Roddy Piper was like a special enforcer or the special referee.
I wonder if that. Yeah.
Because Bret Hart had beat Roddy Piper for the Intercontinental title as well, right?
Yes. After Piper lost it to the Mountie. No. So
Oh God.
at SummerSlam, it was just Earl Hebner. It was just Earl Hebner. Our man Earl. But yeah. Anyway, so that's a good one. So
Yeah,
let's see what else is on the list here.
No. No, you need to eat everything. You only have one pizza.
Who is your favorite Intercontinental Champion? While I'm pulling this.
perfect for sure.
You think so? Yeah, I do too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. RVD was a really good one. I loved when Cody won it for the first time and brought the original belt back.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
I'm definitely loving Walter's run or Gunther.
Oh, all right. So this one I almost wanted to put as number one, but then I couldn't do it. But as a kid, this one really I don't know. This is definitely one of my favorite ones. It was right before the start of the Attitude Era. It wasn't quite. A lot of people would say this was actually the start of the Attitude Era, and this was SummerSlam 1997. So this is the one that
Is that Highway to Hell?
a heart and soul.
Oh, Heart and Soul.
So
That was when Owen broke Austin's neck.
Yeah, Owen broke Austin's neck, and then he had I broke your neck 316 or what did it say, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But it was also, if you remember, Shawn Michaels was the special referee for Undertaker and Bret Hart.
And he super kicked Undertaker, right?
Yeah, he was going to. Yeah, he super kicked on Undertaker no, he was going to hit Bret, and Bret got out of the way, and he slammed Undertaker with it, and
That was kind of the start of the heel turn for Bret Hart, right?
yeah. Well, if you think about it, like,
Yeah.
there were
Ish.
so many storylines that were created based off that match. You know, because of Undertaker losing the belt, he went after Shawn, and then you had the first Hell in the Cell match in the introduction of Kane.
Mhm.
You had Shawn basically turning heel and bringing in Triple H and forming DX. This is all traced back to the end of this match, and I really think that this is where the Attitude Era began. I think you can really all pinpoint
Oh, absolutely.
the end of this match.
Absolutely. Is that LOD against Ferguson and LaFon or the Godwins?
That was sorry, it's so small. That was against the Godwins. Steel cage match between Mankind and Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Bulldog and Shamrock.
Bulldog and Shamrock. Shamrock could have been a champion.
He was surprisingly really good.
Yeah, he was really good.
You ever hear the story about how the Nasty Boys whipped his ass in a hotel room and like hit him with the phone and shit?
No,
it's a pretty brutal one. You ever get a chance, look it up. They both talk about it. Both sides talk about it. It's pretty brutal. They whipped his ass. They jumped him because obviously in a singles fight he'd probably destroy him. But they hit him with a phone. One of the block phones. And,
Yeah.
like everyone, even today, still think of Kurt Angle as being the innovator of the ankle lock, but no, like he did it first.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So the next one on the list is one I'm sure you guys are both familiar with. So this is 2000. So
Oh wow.
we had Undertaker versus Kane.
That's American Badass Undertaker.
American Badass Undertaker, right? You had Benoit and Jericho, 2 out of 3 falls.
That was a really good one.
It was a really good one. Kurt Angle versus Triple H versus The Rock for the championship. You also had the first ever TLC match between the Dudleys, Christian and Edge, and the Hardy Boys. Like the first ever,
That,
first time
that,
anyone had ever seen a tables, ladders, and chairs match.
that one was awesome.
Yeah, that was off the charts. That one.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I like to see, like, I think that's when ECW was finally, like, really becoming part of WWE culture. Like, it was fully absorbed, getting absorbed into, the culture and everything. I think it was at its most popular. You start seeing a lot more brutal matches. But I think the brutality probably goes back to Hell in the Cell with Taker and Kind. That was just awesome. But
While we were talking about the American Badass version of the Undertaker, what's your favorite carnation of the Undertaker, Roman?
Probably Ministry.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's when he kind of transferred from. He's basically Pinhead.
Yep, basic. Yeah, definitely. Hello, Stephanie.
Yeah, it was great.
I liked it up until they revealed Vince McMahon as the higher power and became the corporate
that was the worst, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the worst.
I have an answer, and Paul, your answer might mirror mine, so don't bleep this out. Who did you want to be the higher power? Did you have someone in that storyline that you wanted it to be?
I was just hoping it was gonna. I was hoping it was gonna be somebody from WCW.
yeah.
I didn't know who. I was just hoping it was somebody new.
Jake the Snake. I wanted it to be Jake the Snake.
Yeah.
I think Jake the Snake was too busy smoking crack then.
Yeah. He was doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
he was a little busy during this time. All right.
But God, it could have been Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought story wise it would have made sense since they did that. Him and Undertaker paired up for a while, and the whole angle about the Dark Side. All right, so we're nearing the end here. This is the third. We're on
that one's highway. That one's highway to hell, right?
Highway to hell. Yeah. Sorry, apologize for the blurriness, but
oh, no worries.
Val Venus versus D'Lo Brown. D'Lo Brown was underrated, by the way.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. He's helping teach out of Future Stars of Wrestling.
Is he really?
Out there in Las Vegas? Yeah.
You had X-Block versus Jeff Jarrett, hair versus hair.
That was when Jeff started rocking the flat top.
Yeah, and started smacking women with guitars. Wasn't that his gimmick for like a year? He would just crush some lady with a guitar. Mankind defended the championship on his own against the New Age Outlaws because I think they had a storyline with who was he champions with then? Was it Kane?
No, wasn't it him and Rock?
Oh, it was.
Wasn't this the Rock and Sock connection?
Rock connection, and he didn't show. Right. Okay. So basically, Mankind got pummeled.
Or it might have been him. It might have been him and Chainsaw Charlie.
Yeah, it was him. Okay.
Him and Terry Funk.
Charlie, because they put Chainsaw Charlie in the dumpster
and pushed it off the stage.
Yeah. It definitely wasn't The Rock because The Rock took on Triple H for the IC belt
in that ladder match.
Now, and I remember as a child watching that ladder match going, "Oh, The Rock is a superstar now." Like that was the match that catapulted him. Like he was.
I think that catapulted both of them because that also showed that Triple H was, a top guy as well.
Yep. I mean, yeah, that was just a really great match. And then last but not least, Stone Cold versus The Undertaker for the belt, WWF belt, and Stone Cold beat The Undertaker cleanly. It was a clean win. It was a face versus face match, and he won cleanly, which just didn't happen very often for The Undertaker. So
was that wasn't the Buried Alive match, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was not the Buried Alive match. But that was definitely a good one. All right, so we got 2 to go, guys. Now this, I'm gonna make a judgment call here. I'm gonna move.
One of these has to be my favorite SummerSlam.
I'm sure that it will be. I hope not. I should say I hope so. Otherwise,
Well,
this will
it has to be because the greatest match in SummerSlam history is on one of these ones. It has to be.
I bet you. All right. So the next one I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 2002. Is for number 2. Um, let me show you who's there. Oh yeah, not these guys again. These guys. Sorry, one second. Okay, so. Oh Jesus, no, hold on.
Nope. that was last year, man.
Yeah, sorry. Two. Okay, here we go.
2002. Is that Brock and Rock?
It's Brock and Rock.
02?
Yeah, it's Brock. It's Brock and Rock.
The cage match or the single? No, because he beat Undertaker in the hell. Yeah.
It was basically Brock's coming out party. Like they had been pushing him for the longest time.
For the undisputed.
Yeah, for the undisputed championship.
And then Triple H and Shawn Michaels, right?
Yeah, for the unsanctioned.
Yes, that was a good one.
And that was like Shawn Michaels coming back after like a 6-year, 5-year hiatus.
Yep.
Where we didn't think we'd ever see him again.
Yep.
You had a barn burner Intercontinental Championship match with Chris Benoit and RVD. You had Edge versus Eddie Guerrero, Ric Flair versus and another really good match was it was the opener. Rey Mysterio versus Kurt Angle, which
that match was so good.
So good. Yeah. So good. And hey, man, I appreciate you hanging so long with us on this one. I appreciate.
Oh, no worries, man. I love it. I'm having a blast.
All right, cool. So we have one more to go.
92.
And hopefully
it's 92. It's got to be 92.
If we're like last week, it was top tag teams, and I said if Legion of Doom wasn't number 1, then we shouldn't even have a wrestling podcast. Like, what are we doing? Like, so in a very similar vein, I'm going to say if this isn't your top SummerSlam pay-per-view of all time, you need to second guess your fandom. This is SummerSlam 1992.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Not only like everyone, like first of all, the Bret Hart versus Davey Boy Smith main event for the Intercontinental title, which we found out later, Davey Boy was out of his mind.
Up for 3 days smoking crack with Jim Neidhart.
And it was all Bret carrying that freaking match. One of the great. I mean, that's probably the greatest main event in SummerSlam history, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Is that also when?
And then
Warrior and Macho Man.
The Warrior and Macho Man fight
was their rubber match from the retirement match from WrestleMania 7.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's not the one when they hit him with the scepter, right?
They hit.
No, because that was when Sergeant Slaughter beat Warrior.
That's how Warrior lost the title. Yeah.
Okay.
And then they had their retirement match at WrestleMania 7, which Warrior won.
Where he hung him up.
Yeah, and then Savage hung him up. Savage then got reinstated when Jake the Snake bit him with the snake and was attacking Elizabeth. Okay. Warrior at that point was fired from the company, and Macho Man became champ. And then they brought Warrior back, and they were both actually faces here. So and they squared off, and that was when Perfect and Ric Flair were being dubious behind the scenes and saying that one of them had sold out, but they weren't. Mm-hmm. And then it turned out that neither one had. Yeah. I mean, it was awesome storytelling. But other matches that people forget about are like Undertaker versus Kamala. Now this was.
Is that the casket match?
Yeah, I think this was the first feud that he had after becoming face and beating Jake the Snake. I think this was his actual first face feud after that. And I remember that. Like, like it happened 2 days ago. Like, that was just amazing. We
Hmm.
also had Legion of Doom versus Money Inc. And then,
That's when they won the tag titles.
yep, and you had Rick Martel versus Shawn Michaels with a stipulation where they couldn't hit each other's faces
Yeah.
because they were just so handsome that they couldn't risk it.
Oh,
Remember?
God. And that's where Sherry was torn between the two of them.
Yes. Yes. Yep. Tell you one thing about Sherry. Whoever they paired her up with, turned into a main event heel.
Oh, absolutely.
Macho King, DiBiase, Shawn Michaels, Harlem Heat.
I think her best run was definitely with Harlem Heat.
Yeah, I mean,
Sister Sherry. Yep.
she catapulted those guys, I should say. So, all right, well, that's it for our SummerSlam conversation. So,
Yeah. I mean, but I want to say, I think that Macho Man Warrior might be Warrior's best fight in '92.
yeah, Macho Man always brought the best out of Warrior. I mean, but
Yeah.
Macho Man was one of the greatest wrestlers ever to step foot in the
Yeah.
ring.
You know which Warrior match I liked is when do you remember the In Your House where he wrestled Goldust? And he put on Goldust. He put on the wig and Mr. Hughes' hat.
He never even got in the ring, or he did just for a brief moment. Like it was
Yeah,
just
and just put on the wig and the hat, and it was
just
just
a bunch of
all
posturing.
fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it was. It was. My greatest Warrior moment, though, will forever be the funeral parlor segment when his hand got locked in the casket and he was
Oh,
going
yeah.
after Jake the Snake.
Oh,
Like that was.
what about his stuff with Papa Shango when he started like
Dude,
the
I love
the green stuff came down from when he got like he got possessed or he used his witch doctor shit on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're actually doing a podcast next week with Evil Nate and the Chainsaw Queen, and we're
Oh,
gonna
nice.
like go into like how movies influence professional wrestling, in particular horror movies, because I think you could say that there's a lot of individual choices that wrestlers make that
Oh,
have
absolutely.
with those,
Yeah.
But I don't know any SummerSlams that I didn't mention that you would put on, or any matches that you can remember.
No, that was it. Like '92 was definitely everything I think I can't really remember '93. I think it was '93 when Tatanka turned on Lex Luger, maybe.
I do remember that. What a wasted heel turn, because like nothing ever came of it.
No, and Tatanka was red hot before he turned.
Yeah. Let's see. '93 was
Was that Luger and Yoko?
yeah.
The count out.
He beat him by count out, and they lifted him up like he had just
Won the world title.
won the world title and discovered the cure for cancer all in the same night. Like they were lifting him up and running him around and like a ticker tape parade.
A wasted match.
So but they had that. They also had Undertaker defeated Giant Gonzalez.
The Steiners against maybe the Orient Express or something.
They defeated the Heavenly Bodies. Shawn Michaels defeated Mr. Perfect by countout. That should have been a feud that lasted a year. Bret Hart defeated Doink the Clown.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That guy.
Ludwig Borga defeated Marty Jannetty.
Oh Jesus. Yeah, that's definitely not a good one.
And Razor's very first pay-per-view as a face, he defeated Ted DiBiase.
Yeah.
That was after the 1, 2, 3 kid, and that whole thing. So
yeah. One of my favorite matches that we didn't get into was Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels. In
SummerSlam, right? SummerSlam, '95. Well, the WrestleMania 10 was the first one, and then SummerSlam '95.
Yeah, but the second one was with Razor Ramon, and
Oh,
that's
there's
the
a
one with the
okay.
count out, right?
No, I love that match, Paul. There's a reason we didn't bring that one up, and that's because the main event was Diesel defeating King
And,
Mabel.
Yeah,
oh God, that match was terrible.
But that
Yeah.
that took place in Pittsburgh, our hometown.
yeah,
I remember being so psyched for that. But the Shawn Michael, and that was the rematch ladder match, if I
yeah,
remember correctly. And that also had Bret Hart defeating Isaac Yankem, who was going to be Kane at a later date.
The bogus Diesel.
Yeah, the bogus Diesel. And this card is just Yakushi defeating the 1-2-3 Kid.
Hakushi was awesome though.
Yeah, I don't
what the-
understand why he didn't get pushed as like the WWF's version of the Great Muta. Like that never made any sense to me. Because that's kind of what he was brought in to be.
yeah.
Mhm. That like 93 to late 96 was really hard to watch WWE.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
That's when WCW was kind of starting to pick up the momentum, you know.
It was so interesting to me though, just because they didn't have any top guys, and it was just like who were they pushing? Like who they were pushing to be the top guy changed. Not even month to month. Sometimes it was week to week.
Well, they just had so many terrible gimmicks. Like you had TL Hopper, the plumber,
Yeah.
the Goon, the hockey player, Mantar, R.I.P., who just passed away, Doink the Clown, Duke the Dumpster Drozy, El Montador, the Repo Man. You know,
Yeah.
it was so bad, so bad.
The low point was when Duke the Drumster Drosy lost to TL Hopper, the plumber.
Oh
And
God.
like, why didn't the meter maid sneak in this match and hit some? Like they couldn't incorporate any more jobs into that match.
Even the Godwins were terrible when they.
Oh, I couldn't take that. The pig farmer, hillbilly Jim type stuff had kind of worn its welcome at that point, don't you think?
Oh yeah. It was I'll take Phineas Godwin over Naked Minion though.
Yeah, me too. Me too. But all right, well, hey guys, I guess we can wrap it up here. Roman, thank you so much for taking the time out and talking to us. I really appreciate it. I hope
Yeah, no problem. It was a blast, man.
Jump on again, and we can go into some of your other matches and maybe talk about another topic. But no, we really appreciate you being here, especially since you're still beat up from your match with Flip. And thank you so much. And we hope to talk to you again real soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. You guys have a good one.
All right. Hey guys, have a good night. Thank you. Thanks again.
Yep.
Good night.
Good night.
Take care.